piece I wrote called the Sunman, which kind of fits in with this instrument because it has a Sunman theme. So it plays up all the way up the neck on all the strings and all the frets. I have it plugged in to this rolling cube, microcube. Got it on JC Clean with the tone turned down. I'm going to turn it on acoustic simulation and turn the tone up because it does make a little difference. Maybe the volume up too. So the obviously it's electrified. The jack's a little different because when I went to plug it in, even though I had tested it multiple times, the pickup wasn't working. So what I had to do is I took a hole saw and tree fined, basically sawed the jack out and replaced it, and then used this jack plate which is screwed in the instrument. It's quite solid, and it doesn't make any difference in the instrument's tone or its, strength. The instrument's not really compromised in any way. And maybe it's a little bit to an advantage in case you would ever have a problem electrically. All you have to do is unscrew these 4 screws, and you can get to the electronics. And after having this round, I had to work on another instrument because of a humming that was caused either by me rewiring it or not wiring it correctly or having something wrong with the pickup. I think having this metal plate in contact with the jack is beneficial, and I may start doing all of mine this way. That way you will be able to access your electronics if you ever have an issue. But again, I don't know why it didn't work, because I had checked it and checked it and checked it, and I plugged it in, it didn't work, so I had to fix it. So it's fixed, and but other than that, everything has been done. And again, the woods are spruce top. You have a Babinga fingerboard, which is an extremely hard wood, and it has a little bit of a reddish purple hue, which goes nicely with this red rosette. And I do have a little secondary rosette of the green gold in there that kind of picks up a little bit of the yellow in the tailpiece here. And I'll do a video tour. Sorry the lighting's so poor here, but I'll set the instrument down and go over it. Again, the back is a kind of a rarish wood I got from Canada. I don't think this may be my last piece. I may have one more piece of this. And this is a spalted red birch, but just a lovely, lovely wood. Again, this is mahogany, instrument grade mahogany with real fine graining. And the neck is mahogany, the body of it, with an extended walnut heel here, and that just provides, support. The cap overlay is spalted maple, not super highly figured, but it's there. And then you've got a Delrin string through nut over a 0 fret with a brass strap to help hold everything in place. Again, this is epoxied with extremely high PSI, super good 2-part epoxy, so it's not going anywhere, but this brass strap helps hide the ugliness of the Delrin, which is just black plastic, but it also is a reinforcement strap. Then the tailpiece is very solid. It is also of the spalted red birch with the wood-burned sun, and the colors of the sun are wood dyes, yellow and orange. The tailpiece itself is constructed out of aluminum, and then underneath here I have reinforced it with heavier woods. Even though this tailpiece was sufficient in its strength, I wanted to reinforce it. So again, I used heavy duty epoxy, and then so this basically tailpiece slash armrest is epoxied to this heavy duty piece of cherry here that's not only been epoxied to the aluminum but fixed with 3 screws. And then the underneath, the wing part, has been reinforced with, again, a super hardwood babinga cut to fit underneath, so it mimics the shape of the top so you don't see it from the top. So quite solid, very, very solid. You can rest your arm on it, no problem. And then your arm floats nicely with a nice rest here right over the bridge. It's a 24-inch scale, so it's a little, the fret spacing is a little tighter than the longer ones I've built, the 25.5-inch scales. And I'm really thinking I'm going to start kind of standardizing my scale length a bit more, make it a little bit more, nothing really over 24 for a DAD. I just string gauges are 12, 14, and usually this is a 22, but I did a 24. So it's a little heavier on the bass string. I've got it in C sharp, G sharp, C sharp. I can go ahead and tune it up to DAD. Again, I always like to tune my instruments down. This is B, F sharp B now. Alright, let's hear it unplugged. Obviously it's going to be a lot quieter, but it still has resonance. set the bridge at a little bit of an angle this time, and what that, I still have a good string action, but it just helps lower the strings towards the bridge a little bit more, so it's a little bit more even, and you don't get this rise at the end, even though you may not be playing a whole lot down here. There's, the action down here is pretty much even all the way now, so I think that helps a bit. All right, so let's look at the instrument. If I can get this thing to cooperate here. Okay. So there's the combination tailpiece armrest. There's your rosette, which has two basically marble papers. It has the red and the green gold. Then we have Babinga fingerboard. It's not a figured wood, but it's very dense and a very nice hardwood. There's your fit up, your neck made out of mahogany, and the back, close up a bit, lovely graining. No better artist than Mother Nature. And then the back here, again, a modified situation with the jack, but still perfectly fine. And again, you've got an option. So it's got ball end strings on it right now, but then there's also a brass rod that goes through. It helps stabilize the tailpiece rotationally, but it also provides a anchor for loop strings if you're using, your go ahead and use regular dulcimer strings on it. One other thing I'd like to draw attention to on the bridge, you'll see that little kind of a blackened area here. So I was doing a little bit of fret filing to get the strings, the third string, not to buzz. And because I'm using a very low fret wire, I didn't want to completely, sand it down to where there was nothing. So I used to work in a violin shop, and I used a technique that's called flashing. And so what I did is, this is ebony, and it was a dust, and it's completely fused onto the top of the bridge, and it's harder than the rest of the bridge. And so basically it raised that string up, and I filed a string slot in it, and so that it just gave me a little extra height to allow the string to have clearance. So that's what that is, and I kind of like it because it distinguishes the bass side of the bridge. I usually ship these instruments with the bridge off, and then the person that buys it usually sets it, because it's something I kind of just got in the habit of when I was working in a violin shop, is you never glue a bridge down. But and I kind of like this, so I may end up doing all my bridges all the way across with that ebony dust fusion technique there. It's really kind of a neat trick, and it works extremely well. So, but there you have it, 24-inch scale, and the Sunman.